Are you actively participating in English conversations, or are you just a bystander? So typical signs that you're just a bystander in conversations are you're very quiet, you're not asking questions, and you're not able to use what's called conversational threading. So conversational threading is when you can latch onto the end of what someone says, and then you can start your sentence by saying something like, oh, like you said, learning English is very challenging, but I think there are some other ways that we can do this. So latching on shows that you are actively listening in the conversation. So yeah, if you are just a bystander, typically look out for these three cues that make it seem very apparent that you are just a bystander in your English and you are not actively participating. So if you're very quiet, you're not using conversational threading, you're not latching onto conversations, and you typically are not asking any questions. If you don't ask any questions, this means you are not in control of the conversation and you're not able to guide it in any way that you think is interesting, or it's not typically maybe a conversation that you want to be a part of, but it's all a good way to practice your English skills. Okay, so in this video today, I'm going to tell you about how you can be more active in your English skills. That's just going to help you to relax and really start to open up your vocal clarity in English, so that you can really start to engage in conversations and get rid of this fear, get rid of this nervousness, and feel like you can really connect with people in the English language, which really is the core principle that we are trying to do, whether it is at work, whether it is with your friends or in your social life, or whether it's just how you go about your day. When you go to the bakery, when you go to the coffee shop, you just want to feel connected with this language, and you want to finally just be able to remove your fear, remove your nervousness, and stop asking yourself questions like, why am I not able to remember vocabulary? Why am I not able to stay engaged in conversations? Why am I not able to feel like I can go for interviews in English? Okay, so I'm going to give you some helpful tips that I think will be really useful for you as you start to become more of a participant in conversations and less of a bystander. Okay, so the first one is to use conversational threading. So you really have to practice your listening skills to get good at this. But it's when you are listening to a conversation, you're listening to someone speaking, you're really understanding the theme behind why they're talking. So normally there are three key points that you need to pay attention to. Are they saying something surprising? Are they saying something interesting? Or are they saying something controversial? So either of these points will normally come up when you are speaking to someone in English. Maybe they say something surprising, maybe they say something interesting, or maybe they say something controversial. Or maybe it's not controversial, it's just a topic that they bring up that maybe you have an opinion of, and you want to say something on the contrary. It doesn't have to be so direct, like, oh, I disagree with that, or oh, I agree with that. It can just be like, oh, that's interesting. I thought actually it was like this. So you can also add your opinion and your understanding of it, and then it becomes into much more of a discussion and a better conversation. So let's take, for example, the first one, which is saying something that is thoughtful, saying something that maybe surprises you, okay? So if someone just says something simply like, oh, I went to the supermarket yesterday and they were out of eggs. Okay, it's a simple fact, right? But that's kind of surprising. Like, oh, wow. Like, well, okay, why were they out of eggs? That's interesting. And then you can go down that route, and then you can relate to that. Like, I hate it when that happens. This is the typical way that we will relate in English. But the way that we can really, bring these conversations along is following this conversational thread. So even though you've started off talking about supermarkets, you're then talking about eggs. Who knows, this opens up an entire conversation about farms and where the eggs come from and whether it's sustainable, so it can, one small sentence can really open up a conversation, and one really good question can really open up a conversation as well. So when you're thinking about your ability to speak in English, I want you to think more about what can you share that is surprising or thoughtful or engaging or even controversial, because these are ways that it's going to help the conversation flow, and you're going to be able to connect these emotional threads, because conversation is an emotional endeavor. It's something that we want to engage with. Conversations that typically are boring don't involve any interesting opinion or idea or observation or emotion. Okay, so I want you to think about these three things when you are talking in English. I want you to think about something that is thoughtful, something that is surprising, something that is interesting, and then also something that is relatable or something that is controversial. Okay, so if someone says to you, oh, I really love hiking in the mountains, okay, the best way you can latch on to that is like, oh, I really like hiking in the mountains too. I went hiking last week. So that is something that you did, but maybe you didn't do that. So you can also say the opposite, which is, oh, I haven't been hiking recently, but I really, really want to go back to the mountains because, yeah, last summer we went there and it was really fun, really cool. I want to spend more time in the mountains. Yeah, I think during the summer, it's not something that we make a lot of time for. It's very weather dependent. So you see how it's now the conversation is opening because I was able to latch on to what that person said. So this conversational latching is really, really important because one, it will show that you have good listening skills, and two, you're also developing your conversational ability. So I would also spend a little bit of time thinking about how you can latch onto conversations. You can also use this as an active video participation method. So when you are listening to videos in English, try to pause and then latch on to what the interviewer or the speaker said, and then try to continue the conversation with a question or try to summarize what they said, but by latching on, like they said in the video, like you mentioned, like he said, oh, like I've heard before. These are all really, really good ways that we can latch onto words, and especially normally at the end of a sentence, to capture that you got the main theme and you are interested to hear more about what they have to say. Okay. So the next one, and you've heard this millions and millions of times before, is about building your active vocabulary. The only way to build your active vocabulary is to speak more. So I'd really recommend learning with a teacher, learning with a coach. If you are looking for somewhere to practice, you can head to VALLHO.com as VALLHO. So VALLHO is a communication platform that really helps you to develop your communication skills in English. We have various courses that you can check out to help you to boost your English communication skills. Okay. So active vocabulary, what is it? They're words that you are actually able to use in conversations. You don't forget them. They are stored in your brain, deep in your brain. They come to you. Yeah, so you feel confident when you use these words. If you don't feel confident, then they are more in your passive vocabulary. But you can transfer passive words to your active. How do you do that? You read more, you consume more content in English, and ultimately you speak more. Okay, so these are the ways that you're going to really develop your English communication skills by paying more attention to your active vocabulary and getting your mouth to open, really start developing those sentences, really start using that conversational threading and conversational latching to help you to speak more, and really start to introduce things, about your life and to share your perspective and your opinion. This is what language is. It's sharing information with each other. This is what a conversation is. Okay, someone sharing something with you that they observed, something that they thought was interesting, something that they saw on TV, something that they just generally feel about the city or the town that they're in. So these are all the things that we think about, when we're having a conversation in English. And it's the same if you're having an interview. Okay, how does that work? Okay, you're sharing information. Tell me about yourself. You're sharing things about you. Tell me about your prior experiences. Okay, you're also sharing information about you. Okay, why are you suitable for this job? You're sharing your skills that you have. So everything is share, share, share. Sometimes we wait to be asked before we share, but it's not always the case. Sometimes we can give ourselves permission to share information without having to be asked. So that means that when you're having a conversation with someone, don't wait for them to ask you how your day was. Talk about it. Yeah, today's been pretty crazy for me. Why do you have to wait to be asked that? You can just bring it up, bring up the topic, be the one that's in control of the conversation. And I guarantee you this will help you in your conversations with people by asking better questions, by using conversational latching, and by being able to really connect with those people that you're speaking with. Whether you're in a group setting, it does get a little harder in a group because you have to listen to multiple different people, but again, you latch on to what they're saying and you really try to pay attention and keep up with the main theme. One question you may ask me is, okay, Shane, well, when I'm in a group situation, my listening skills suck. I really find it hard to latch on to what they're saying. So what's the way to fix this? Okay, so that again is going to relate to your listening volume and listening frequency. If you are still in the early stages of listening development, typically between 1 to 3 years of learning the language, you really still need to invest a lot of time into developing your listening skills, and this is really going to pay off in the future. And of course, being part of conversations, this is also really going to help your listening skills as well. Okay, so One other thing that I want to share with you that I think is really important is that you have to break the mental barrier. So what do I mean by break the mental barrier? So when we are communicating in English, we're using our active vocabulary, we're using conversational latching, we're starting to use conversational threading, we're bringing up interesting points, we're sharing our observations, we're sharing our thoughts. These are all great things, but you still have this mental barrier. So what is this mental barrier? It's something that is inside your mind that tells you that you are not ready, tells you that you don't have enough vocabulary, it tells you that you should be scared. You are put into this mold. Okay, so a mold is a series of behaviors that you're going to develop as a person. We all have molds, we all have series of behaviors. So if your default behavior, so default again just meaning your automatic behavior, is to not speak up, is to feel shy, is to feel nervous, then you are just going to push yourself more and more into this. But you have to break that mold, and when you're speaking in a second language, it's actually a fantastic opportunity for you to break that mold, because it's not your first personality, it's not your first language. Okay, this is the second personality, which is an extension of your first. It's very similar, but you're going to be speaking in a different way, and when you speak in a different language, you also connect with different emotions, you express things with different intensities, because different languages work in different ways. So when you break the mental barrier, it's every time you get an opportunity to speak in that language, take it. Even if it's just saying one word, I don't care, do it. If it's saying one sentence, it's good. And then you never know where this conversation is going to go, and it's just a really great way to challenge yourself. And this is the true way to build your confidence, is through experience, right? So it doesn't matter how much you've studied something, is when it comes to that moment when you are speaking in that conversation and your listening skills are there, your speaking ability is good, and you really need to trust your brain to just go for it. And the worst that's going to happen is you're gonna fail, and you're going to not be able to communicate. But I guarantee you that you will always pleasantly surprise yourself, and you'll be like, wow, I was able to say something, wow, I was able to understand what that person said. And these are the amazing moments that we have when we're learning a language, and we really want to push ourselves to get more of these moments. I like to refer to these as small wins. So when we are developing our skills, especially our communication skills, we want to find as many small wins as possible, which means take as many opportunities as you can to speak more, and to join communities. So this is what I do when I go to another country, and I'm learning Spanish at the moment. So when I go to Spain, the first thing I do is I join at least 2 or 3 different communities, and this really helps me to immerse myself, put myself in scenarios and situations where I have to rely on my Spanish speaking ability, and I have to push myself, and I have to try and understand, and try not to take myself too seriously as well. This I find really helps from a personal perspective. If you can find a way to kind of have a sense of humor and joke about the fact that your language, you are still learning and you're still developing, I think people can always relate to that, and they will never expect you to have really amazing language skills. If you do, then they will be really surprised and impressed, and normally you will receive a compliment. So we all like to be complimented, and if we can receive a compliment for our language efforts, we will feel super good, because as we all know, it takes a long time to develop strong communication skills. It takes a long time to develop your language skills, and to receive recognition for that is a really great thing. Okay, so what we covered in this video today, so we've talked about emotional threading. So how do we thread our conversations? So this involves saying something interesting, saying something surprising, saying something relatable, or it can be controversial. Maybe not too controversial, but controversial enough to bring up a topic and a discussion. It can be simple as, I don't like that cake. Oh, okay, why don't you like that cake? And you can go into that topic, okay? So that's one aspect. The second thing is conversational latching. So latching onto the end of what someone says and really being able to drive it home about how you can continue that conversation using key terms like, as you mentioned, oh, like you said, oh, okay, oh, hiking in the woods, that's cool. I haven't done that in a while. So really latch on to what that person has said. It's a really great sign of good active listening skills. And then third is breaking this mental barrier, okay? And this means you need to take opportunities, you need to put yourself out there, you need to join communities. I know it can be scary, but at VALLHO, we have a community that you can join, and I find that this will be really useful for you on your journey to develop your English communication skills and to finally find a place where you feel comfortable and you can practice in a way that really helps you to develop your skills and to build upon what you've, the tremendous effort that you've already made in your language learning journey, but to just take it to that next level and really develop. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful today, guys, and if you did, you can head to VALLHO.com, which is a communication platform to help you boost your English communication skills, and I will see you all on the next one.